buddy. Hey, I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. I want to show you, I had to take down everything here. Had a little problem with the city because of some jackass bitching and complaining, but that's okay. We're going to set up even better someplace else. But here's what's left of my fish system. And there's some giant catfish in here. And there's a little frog down on the bottom. I'm going to talk about two important points here. Is that habitat is important. I don't want to disturb this frog because it's getting cooler and he's probably chilling out. But habitat is so important. And when you build this habitat, not everybody understands it or recognizes it. These are actually willow right here. We're going to transplant those at the property, but we need a marshy area. And I kind of left them up because we had a large number of really big frogs. And then of course this system, it does really require all of this water for a small number of catfish. But what's happening here is the water is getting pumped from the bottom all the way up to the top through a filter into this large 255-gallon tank, into this kind of separator. It takes out a lot of solids and gives the solids time to digest, and then they come down into this main tank. It's actually pretty low right now. I was letting it go down because there's a vertical pipe that's supposed to be on that overflow so that we can get solids out of the water. Now I added feed in here and I added the duckweed, but you can see these splashes because the catfish are pretty big and they're moving around. I doubt we're going to get one because I'm talking to show their face. So the bigger thing to worry about here is that when you build habitat, make sure, so you can see some stuff moving around down there, make sure you are aware of the social situation. So I had got permission from my neighbors to go ahead and cut down the trees. There you go, you see the big one on the back. And I had put everything in place. I followed the rules. And then ultimately, I guess somebody changed their mind and bitched and complained, and then it became a big mess. Rather than fighting the situation, I went ahead and just got land someplace else. And I'll start the projects anew because I actually got interrupted before I started planting trees. So out here in the tree nursery, there are like 400 or 500 trees, and there are trees out in other places on the property, and those are all going to get planted out back here where we have basically what's called like a grassland, and that would increase the stabilization. It's already pretty stable the way it is, but ultimately when people start complaining and stuff, I don't need to deal with that. This was all trees. These were trees falling on my house, and if I'm going to do a conservation project, you need to do that where the city is proactive about those things and is not changing their mind. What we have here is a demonstration that was going to be used to replace that 40 acres in the back there that has a lot of tree fall, erosion problems. There's actually a creek down in the bottom there. And with the complaint, it was not even actually many complaints. It was a single loud complaint that just kind of snowballed because I don't know. But the long story short is you have to disassemble those systems and replace them someplace else. So I'm putting those systems in another location. This is the last system to go. I kind of need to catch these big fish and dismantle the system, but I was kind of waiting until some of the frogs have gone away and done their sleep time. You really can't transport wildlife from one location to another. You really shouldn't do that. But again, there are some challenges with my setup. See, this is actually locust. So some of the pots I had in here, they were too long in here. Actually, that one can come out. They were too long in here, and because they were growing for so long, sometimes the little roots escaped. And so you have plants like this that have this long root against it, and anything in that root breaks, it will resprout. So we'll just lay it out and get some sun on it. Another factor too is that I had some health problems. So my ability to keep the project maintained wasn't as consistent as the rate of growth with these plants. So I ended up hiring somebody who came over and pulled out all the plants and kind of reset this area. There's still a little bit of work to do. But ultimately, when you have the skills and you have the understanding of how these natural systems work, it's actually really easy to just go set the project up someplace else. to basically take it down and set it up someplace else. Now you can see some of the cardboard that we used for mulching, you know, doesn't completely decompose. Some of the plants went through the bottom of the pots and started growing in the ground. See these? These are nitrogen fixing. So as stuff starts to go dormant, I'll dig up more of those roots to replant someplace else. But it just goes to show, though, that most people don't understand what environmentally sound practices look like. And even after that, the cost and time necessary to maintain these projects can be a challenge. So a lot of these willows, they're actually in pots, and those pots have gone through into the ground. And so in order to get those out, I wait till winter, and then I dig them out and then go take them and replant them immediately. As far as the fish system goes, I actually have filtration and other things to set up someplace else, but I don't have any power there. So this system does need regular power. So I have an aerator. So there's an aerator hanging down there, and that's aerating this tank and the larger tank. There's no fish in these larger tanks. And then all that is making sure that we have clean water going into the tank with our catfish, so that they can maintain a healthy environment. You can see how big those babies are. They have a little spike on the back of them, so I'm not going to reach down inside the tank to get this white pipe. I'm probably going to have to wait till it's a little colder and they're a little sleepy, and then go take them someplace else. But again, I just want to share with you that nature is abundant. Even look at the soil. I'm just going to create all this stuff again. Look how nice that soil is underneath here. I'm just going to create it all again, because nature's abundant. When you understand how the natural systems work, you can easily recover. And I'm going to leave you with Mr. Frog, who's got his eyes open looking at me. I just don't want to disturb him. Look at that little fella. If you got any questions, visit www.prosperityhomestead.org and just chill with that frog.